This is The Journey, podcast edition. If what you're building didn't come with a playbook, you're in the right place.
Welcome back to The Journey, the podcast for builders, makers, and people who are figuring out as they go. Today we're digging into a method that's part idea validation, part social experiment, and part old-fashioned hustle. It's a bit uncomfortable at first, but it's one of the most effective ways to build confidence in a new business idea before you spend any serious time or money on it. I kind of think of this as hit the sidewalk testing, but if you want a more formal, fun name for it, let's call it the Customer-Centric validation method. This isn't metaphorical. I mean literally going outside, or at least showing up in an environment where your target audience hangs out and talking to people. You're looking for folks who don't already know your business. That's pretty critical. This method, it only really works well if the people you're engaging with are encountering your idea for the first time, just like future customers might. Why this method? This is one of the most hands-on approaches you can take to validate your idea. It's perfect for when you're still at the spark stage, when you've got an idea that seems promising, but you haven't launched anything yet. Maybe it's a product, maybe it's a service, maybe it's a change to an existing offering. Either way, you're not just trying to hear yes or no. You're trying to understand, really understand, what real people think and feel when they hear your pitch. It's not just for entrepreneurs either. Large companies use a version of this through focus groups or paid panels. And the jury's kind of out. There's a lot of debate on whether or not focus groups and paid panels really effectively deliver back useful data, or whether there's inherent bias that really can't be controlled for. But conversation for another time. For solopreneurs, small teams, more early stage products, the street level version of this that we're talking about today works pretty well. It's also cheap. Really, your biggest investment is time and maybe a few coffees or small thank you gifts for the folks that you're talking to. And if you're smart about it, when you're talking to these folks, a part of that thank you can be a coupon or a discount code or something that gives them awareness and access to what you already sell at a bit of a deal. So getting started, here's what you'll need to kind of do hitting the street well. Before you talk to anyone, you need a plan. This is what separates it from just chatting people up randomly, having a plan. Ask yourself, who are you trying to reach? What kind of person is most likely to be a future customer or user of what this idea is? Where do these people hang out? Where do they gather? And what do you want to learn from them? After that, what you're going to want to do is craft a clear elevator pitch for your idea. It's not a sales pitch. It's an elevator pitch. And the difference is that your elevator pitch, it's not about getting them to buy anything. It's a very simple, and simple is kind of the operative word, make it as straightforward as you possibly can, explanation of the idea. Like 20 or 30 seconds at most is kind of what you want to shoot for. Your goal is to get a genuine reaction. Ideally one that leads to a short conversation. Also, think through logistics. Are you taking notes yourself? Are you recording with your phone? Are you going to bring a buddy along, work in a team, with one person asking the questions, having the conversation, and the other person taking notes, jotting down observations? Be mindful, though, if you're going to record this, always ask for permission. Not everyone's comfortable being recorded, especially when they kind of meet you as a stranger on the street for the first time. So what to say and how to say it. When you approach someone, your first job is to put them at ease, make them feel comfortable. Remember, you're a stranger, a total stranger. They're a stranger to you. In these situations, especially in kind of larger urban environments, people are naturally a little bit guarded and they've probably got their own stuff on the go, right? Like they're going from A to B. They don't necessarily want to talk, slow down and stop, especially if they think they're just going to be, kind of sold something. So do what you can early on to veer people out of that situation, that mindset where you're just going to bug them and try and sell them something because somebody really likes that. I find leading with clarity kind of helps with this. So you can do a very simple intro like, hey there, sorry to interrupt your day. I'm working on a new idea and I'm trying to get feedback from people who might be a fit for it. Do you have 2 minutes for a little chat? It's clear, it's low pressure, it's respectful of their time. From there, you can give your pitch and ask a few thoughtful questions. Now, keep in mind that a ton of people are going to say no. They're just going to shake their head and walk on, or they're going to say no, or they're really not going to do anything. They'll just completely ignore you. That's totally okay. Don't take it personally. Just put yourself in their shoes. Like, how would you react if someone came up to you and did the same thing? So you're going to get a lot of rejection. It's totally fine. Just be cool with it. Move on. Here's the key to this. You're not selling, you're listening. So when you get engaged in a conversation, ask what they think. What's confusing? What sounds interesting? What would they change? Does it feel useful? Does it feel exciting? Boring? Familiar? La-di-da? Who cares? Try and get those reactions out of them when you're having that short conversation. You're trying to gather feedback before you put this idea into the world, remember. So every comment, either positive or negative, is helpful, and that's kind of important. You don't want to go fishing just for positive comments or negative comments, on the other hand. You want to kind of structure the way that you approach this conversation in a very neutral way and try not to lead people down a particular path. At the end, say thank you. Always say thank you. Even if it's just a smile and some gratitude, make it genuine. If you can, offer a small incentive up, like we talked about, a discount code before, a sticker, coffee gift card, or if you've got like a coffee urn with you, if you're in a trade expo or a hall or something, pour them a cup of coffee or tea or whatever that they can take on the way out with them. Creating that kind of goodwill goes a long way. It makes them feel good about having participated in the process with you. And it also puts you and your brand in a positive light. People tend to think of brands as things, right? But people don't really think of other people as things. The interesting part about the difference between a thing and a person is that a thing is something that is very easy to discount and just kind of discard and throw away. Whereas if you have a positive experience with a person, it tends to stick with you a little bit longer, a little bit further. So if you have a really positive encounter with a person who represents a brand, which is a thing, you tend to be able to attach that positive experience that they had with the person to the brand. So in the short term and even in the long term, if they become customers, this can really help you out. And it's not that difficult to do. It doesn't take a lot for you to do it. So I'd pay attention to that. After you're done having conversations, you want to take your notes right away while the conversations have just kind of wrapped up, while it's fresh. And even better, categorize these notes. Was the feedback positive? Was it negative? Was it neutral? Did it raise questions you hadn't necessarily thought of? Did certain themes keep coming up? I use a feedback classification template for this. If you're listening to this on like Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whatever, go into the episode description or the show notes and click on the link to the companion post in there. That'll bring you back to the written article. And the written article has like download links and stuff for the templates that I use when I'm doing this. And they're free. Click the button, save them to your own Google Drive, use them, modify them. Go with my goodwill and good luck. Feel free to use those resources. So this whole thing, it's not just about validation. It's also kind of a sneaky way to start marketing your idea. Getting this idea in front of potential customers, remember. And if you've left a good impression, like we talked about, they're going to remember you. All right, so pros and cons of this method. Pro, this gets you outside. It gets you real-world feedback without needing to build or launch anything. It exposes your brand to new people, like we talked about. And believe it or not, this is creatively energizing for a lot of people. Being outside, talking to folks, hearing fresh perspectives, your normal day-to-day, that stuff matters. Like, it kind of has a positive impact on your sense of balance and how you go about your work week, the things that you're doing day-to-day. For a lot of people, this is a change of pace, and that's incredibly valuable. Well, how about some cons? So this is... It's not for everyone. If you hate talking to strangers, this might be rough. If you are one of those people, though, I would encourage you to kind of work at it, figure out how to become more comfortable with talking to strangers. And, you're not the only person who has ever felt that way. I used to have a horrible, horrible time talking to strangers. It took me quite a while to figure out how to be more comfortable with it. But what I can tell you is that when you figure it out, you are better for it. Another con, it's time consuming to plan and execute well. Like, this is probably going to take you a day, I would say, if not more. So like, think about that when you're planning this into your cycle of ideation. Your sample's also not going to be statistically representative. No matter how hard you try, you're not going to be able to create like this one-to-one proxy for like the market of people who might buy this idea or who might make use of it. So don't treat it like hard data. Treat it more like directional insight for what you're trying to do. Another thing to keep in mind is this method isn't a great fit for validating internal process changes or niche B2B services that aren't easily understood by the general public. It works best when the idea has potential for, kind of broad consumer appeal, or it's a really easy thing to understand without kind of background knowledge required to really get what you're talking about. So wrapping up, at the end of the day, the customer-centric validation method, aka hitting the sidewalk, making some buds, works really well because it pulls you out of the vacuum of your own ideas and forces you to confront how someone else sees them, how kind of the wider world will take them in. It's raw, sometimes it's awkward, it's a little unpredictable, but it's also one of the fastest and most cost-effective ways to really stress test your Spark with real-world data before you get wrapped up in figuring out how to execute. So grab your pitch, grab your notebook, check out the link in the show notes for our companion post with all the tools and downloads that I talked about.
And that's it for this episode of the Journey Podcast Edition. If you're building something from scratch or scaling something messy, make sure to follow, share, or just send this to someone else in the trenches. Until next time, keep climbing.